Everybody, welcome to Leon's Chainsaw Parts and Repair. Happy Friday. We all made it through another week, which is a good thing. Working on another one of these carburetors here, and this one was so close to being ready when I got it that the piece that tripped the customer up, I really want to show you guys, because these aftermarket kits don't come with any sort of instruction, and it can really throw you on what's going on. So we're looking at another Tillotson HL. This one's a 117C. With that intake elbow, I'm assuming this is off of a zip or something like that, because it looks like it's a governed saw, judging by this bushinged linkage there, and no spring on it. So anyway, a lot of these kits that include the metering arm and needle, there are two very distinct types, and I wish I had another one opened up, but I don't, so we'll just talk about it. Some of them have a fork where you can index the top of the needle in. Some of them don't. Some of them are just a flat piece. There's no groove cut into it, and the needle, I've got some more of these laying around. I should have prepped better before the video. The needle will not have a way to hook in. It's just flat on the top. And I've got so many parts in this. Could that be? Here we go. Of course, everything's packaged up so you can't see it real well, but good lord. Alright, I'm going to set this down, because doing this one-handed isn't getting me anywhere. Okay. That one's actually sitting in it. There we go. I don't want to cut this package open and lose it, but you can see how that needle is plastic and it's flat on the top, so it would never index into the arm. So there's two types of seats. There's the inlet needle seat. That one has a rubber at the base to seal to that needle. This one that's in the saw is the older style. It has just, you can't see to the bottom of it, but it's just brass all the way down. And the tip of the needle has the rubber point that seals. So you got to be careful trying to mix and match things here. These look like they were used out of the kit. I'm assuming that they were. And when it was assembled, it was indexed into the arm. But when I put the pressure tester on it, we were just getting a straight pass-through air. Wouldn't hold 1 ounce of pressure. So, having made this mistake myself, I figured I knew what was going on in here. So let's look at how far that needle drops down. Way down. Like way down. So what I'm going to do, that's the seated position. Let's see if I can get this camera set down to where you guys can still see what I'm doing, and try to keep my hands out of the picture as much as possible. So I'm going to index the needle into the arm the way I found it. Get the spring back in so that we can see the full effect, and try and seat this. Now we won't be able to put pressure to it. Oop, spring shifted around. Don't really need it, but we're going to do it anyway. Maybe. I won't be able to put pressure to this without reassembling the entire carburetor, and I'm not going to do that. Alright, that spring is an annoyance to me. There we go. I don't want to reassemble the whole thing just to take it apart again to do it right. We'll just go part way here. Get this axle lined up. I'm not even going to screw that in all the way. Alright. Almost. Not quite enough. Just letting that thing sit cockeyed. Alright. First thing we're going to note is see how high that arm is sitting. When the diaphragm was installed, it was going to be hitting that. Second, look at how the forked arm is actually touching the seat right there. It's not letting the needle seat all the way. So this is one where you've got to install it. If you're going to use the aftermarket arm and everything, you got to install it unindexed. There's enough of a head on this that you can just let let gravity do its work. So we're going to take this thing back out and reinstall it with the arm over the top of that. And I'll show you guys the difference that it makes there. Again, I know the camera's way too close and you can't see half of what I'm doing here because of my arm being in the way. I apologize for that. Notice I've got my thumb over the arm as I'm taking this axle out. That is to keep the spring from flying across the garage, because I don't like replacing parts because I lost them. So I'm just going to drop that needle in, get this seated back on the spring, put that axle back in place. This can be a little bit tricky to get the arm down in there straight, especially if your fingers are on the large size. All of this stuff can get tricky. Alright, so I'm going to get that in. Okay. Sorry, I just touched the lens, I think. Now we can see it's sitting level, which on an HL is about what you want right there. You can see the forks aren't touching any part of the seat. The needle is totally seated. So I'm going to go ahead and slap this thing back together, not waste video time on getting that whole housing on here, but I'll come back with a pressure test and we'll see if we got it. Okay, so we're a lot closer, but we're still a little bit of a problem. So you notice that that's wet, got some dish soap on there. Let's try pumping it up. Isn't that cute? So, I already had that cover off briefly. I will take it off again just to show you guys what we've got going on. These covers are known to distort, but I don't think this one's beyond use. I was able to source a few of these through the aftermarket, because the original Tillotsons just aren't that common anymore. These fuel turrets, as they call them. Alright. So underneath that, your fuel inlet, there should be a fuel screen under there, and obviously that's missing. And that cork gasket is supposed to seal it up. Well, number one, sorry, there we go. You can see there's a distortion in it, so I don't think it's even pushing down enough to push that flat. So I'm going to see about finding a fuel screen and see if I've got an OEM gasket that's a little bit thicker. That looks super thin. I don't know that would ever compress and seal even with a new fuel turret. But you'll see on the back here, it's got a pretty wide sealing surface. There's not a ring or anything molded into it, it's just a flat surface. But if I can, well, when I find a screen and a gasket to get in there, we should be good to go. So anyway, watch out for those inlet needles. They can be a real pain, especially without any instructions in the package. If you guys haven't found them yet, go out to my website. On the IPL page, one of the tabs beyond the Homelight IPLs is Homelight Carburetors. Obviously not everything's there because they quit publishing those sometime in, I don't know, the mid-70s, and they started including a blow-up diagram in the SAW IPL itself. But prior to that, a lot of the HLs, a lot of the SDCs up to about the 62, and then yeah, the HS series, all those carbs, we've got good blow-ups of them that even if the picture isn't 100% clear, usually you can get some part numbers, some Homelight part numbers that'll help you find some of these archaic parts, and that's what I'm going to do. with this thing and hopefully be able to track it down.